You've heard about entity attachments, but are they real or are they just a bunch of BS? In this video, we're going to explore what entity attachments mean, how to tell if you have an entity attachment, and how to avoid getting entity attachments in the future. What's up, beautiful? It's Lisa Roulette, and I'm here to help you heal, navigate your ascension journey, and create a life you love. I have taken the entire month of August off of long form content, and I'm very happy to be back. So I appreciate your patience. I know this channel has had a lot of movement in the past year, but I'm back and I'm very excited to lead you through your ascension journey. If you're new here, please make sure you like, comment, share, consider subscribing because it really does help the channel grow. And as we move into this video, I just want to bring out a big reminder of how important it is to discern whether or not the information in this video and all videos like this serves you. One of the biggest lessons we learn along the ascension path is discernment. So take what serves you and leave the rest behind. Never listen to something from someone that doesn't sit well with you, because then it won't serve you, okay? So let's explore this idea of entity attachments, because it is sort of a buzz topic in the spiritual community, and I want to try to give it some logical context if I can. So as you know, everything is energy. Your physical body is energy, your mental body is energy, your emotional body is energy, the stars, the planets, the sky, it's all energy. You also know that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. As it springs forth from the source, it can never be created nor destroyed, and therefore it is indefinite and eternal. Now, when it comes to energy, energy is conscious. Therefore, consciousness is energy. Energy is conscious. Consciousness is energy. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot because it is one of the ways that we become increasingly self-aware of ourselves as energetic beings. And when we become increasingly aware of ourselves as energetic beings, we can do things much easier, like manifest certain life experiences, heal certain life experiences, and really understand how we are a very important integral part to the interwoven, interconnected fabric of our shared reality, which is so important along the ascension path. So energy is conscious, consciousness is energy. Energy and consciousness can neither be created nor destroyed. Now, when we think about energy and consciousness, we usually kind of think of like a person, right? But again, the stars, the sky, the things that we see, we think of as consciousness and energy. But a lot of consciousness and energy cannot be seen to the naked eye, unless perhaps you've developed your psychic abilities over many, many years, or you have an open third eye. You may be able to see beyond what most people can see as energy and consciousness. Nevertheless, energy and consciousness exist beyond the scope of what humanity can perceive at this time. Because remember, along the ascension path, what we're doing is we're opening our container of consciousness in order to perceive more than we have in the past 2,500 years. So as we open, we become more sensitive to the energy around us. Now, to give you an example of how you can perceive energy beyond beyond the naked eye, think about a time when you walked into a place, whether it be a restaurant or a room, whatever it was, and you got a really bad vibe. Like maybe you were like, I cannot stay here. I need to get out of here. There's something wrong with this energy. And so you moved on. That is you sensing energy and consciousness that is not available to your naked eye. So this is what essentially becomes this concept of entities. It's just energy. Now, could an entity have had a physical body in a former life or on a former timeline? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more evolved the consciousness or the energy, it's more likely that it did have a physical form in a lifetime or on a timeline. So again, discern for yourself whether or not that information serves you or it doesn't serve you. You do not have to accept every single thing I'm saying. I am sharing with you what I know of entity attachments, okay? So again, just use your discernment. I don't want to spook you or make you fear anything. It's just that this information has been very helpful for me along my journey of awakening and throughout my ascension path, and also through my healing and journey of manifestation or creating my life experience. So the higher the consciousness, or the more evolved the consciousness, the more consciousness has an intention to thrive. And in order to thrive, it needs a source, okay? So our source, we think, is our nutrition and our physical fitness, but it is truly beyond that, right? It is our source of light. It is our connection to what many of you would call God. It is our connection to our family members through the emotional body. It is how we think through the mental body. So our source comes in many, many, many different forms beyond just nutrition and physical fitness. It's very dynamic and truly multidimensional. But for entities that are not incarnate in the third dimensional paradigm, they too need a source to thrive. And so it's intentional for them to attach to a source, right? So if you have something, a level of light that entities need to thrive, it is very likely that they will come in through the auric field and attach to certain parts of the energy body. Sometimes they actually attach to the physical body. And it's nothing to fear, but it is something to consider, because we never want any entities or any foreign energy in the energy field that isn't organic to our vibration, because what ends up happening is we give away our sovereignty and we start to be guided by the energy or entity that is attached to either the physical body or the aura, okay? So in order to thrive, they have to take energy from that source, and that source very likely could be you. Now, how do entities move through the aura? Well, they come in through the aura when the aura is weak. And there are many different ways that the aura can weaken at certain points in time. That could be when you're imbibing alcohol, or you're using even plant medicine. Even though everyone thinks plant medicine is the holy grail of healing, you can get a lot of entity attachments in plant medicine. Anytime you alter your consciousness, you are subject to an entity attachment, which is why I say, even when you're working on psychic development, you need to boundary down. You need to have established boundaries in place in order to make sure that entities are not attaching to you, okay? Now, how do you tell if you have an entity attachment? Well, a couple different ways. One of the first ways is to look at a recurring issue in your life. If there's something in your life that is perpetual all the time, it can very likely be an entity taking that energy from that aspect of life in order to thrive. Another way to tell if you have an entity attachment is chronic pain, although it is not always the case. Certainly, chronic pain can be a result of a physical injury, but sometimes we can have trauma in the energy body, and because of that trauma, we're weaker in that area, and an entity can attach in that area. For instance, as many of you know, I've lost my brother, I've lost my husband, I've been through severe narcissistic abuse. I was in 5 schools before I was in 4th grade in 4 different states. So my root chakra, all of that safety, all of that stability, and all of that survival was deeply threatened over the course of my life. And I'm still working on healing my root chakra. So that area, I have a lot of hip pain, a lot of lower back pain. Sometimes it goes down into my legs, and I can discern, again, discernment being key, as to whether or not there is a physical injury, that it is just trauma from the root being so disrupted, or potentially I have an entity attachment. Now, when I consider whether or not I have an entity attachment, I will tell you that over the years, as I have released my late husband more and more, or let go of him more and more, I have had considerable healing in that area. So there is some question as to whether or not he attached to me in order to stay with me, to potentially protect me, and also to protect our children, which sounds very romantic, but you never want any entities attached to you. Like I said, you never want any entities attached to you, because they're not your organic vibration, and you start to give away away your sovereignty. And it also creates density in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, which is why potentially you will hurt, right? Especially in the physical body. Now, I can't remember if I said this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Entities can be both light and dark, or that's the language that we use in the spiritual community. A light entity could be someone like a lost loved one. It could be an angel. It could be a spirit guide, and it could be something of that nature. A dark entity would be something that really is coming in to intentionally take your light in order to thrive on their own accord. So some people, I don't believe that these are really called demons. In fact, there's a wonderful girl on TikTok who talks about demons, and I will link her TikTok below. I'm learning more and more about demons as an art and a study more now. But some people would call these dark entities demons. I think technically from a study standpoint, they are not. So I'll link her TikTok below. But getting back to the subject at hand. So there can be dark and light entities. There can be entity attachments, and you can tell whether or not you have entity attachments in two primary ways, which are recurring problems in your life or recurring physical ailments. Now, there are a lot more ways, but for the sake of time, let's move on to what would you do if you had an entity attachment? Well, the first thing that I would do is I would do an auric sweep. And that is to say, focusing on the chakra column, literally moving energy out of the chakras and moving it out through the auric field until it is so far away from you that it really isn't part of your energy field or sort of that egg, right? Now, if you want me to do a video on an auric sweep or training on the auric sweep, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure to put that in the channel lineup. The other thing that you can do is start to create boundaries. Now, you don't want to create boundaries out of fear because that only is detrimental to you. So if all of a sudden you're convinced that you have an entity attachment, you immediately have to make boundaries because, oh my God, you're being attacked. Don't do that. You have power over the entity, okay? You have more power than the entity itself because you are the source, right? Just like God has so much power, or our source has so much power because it is the source. You are the source of the entity. So you always have more power than the entity. So one thing that you can do is start to practice building boundaries. And keep in mind that boundaries are built over time. They're not a one and done thing where you suddenly say like, okay, I'm boundary down, nobody can come into my field. They're genuinely built over time. Even though they are subtle boundaries, right? They're subtle energy. You still have to build them over time because unless they're in your awareness, they really don't have any structure or substance. So building them over time through visualization, through protecting the aura, will also help you maintain those boundaries. Now, if you are someone who practices psychic abilities, who practices things like using a pendulum, or you meditate, it is always wise to build boundaries because when you do things like that, you are entering the spirit realm, right? And when we think about the spirit realm, we're not just thinking about angels, guides, guardians, all is love and light, because all is not love and light. That is one of the biggest misnomers in the spiritual community. There is dark and light. There is hate and love. So keep in mind that boundaries are super, super important. And I think I have a video on this channel, but I'm not sure. Comment below if you want me to do a guided visualization to build boundaries. And we'll talk about how you can do that in building the aura, keeping in mind that the aura is the light body and the light is the source that the entity needs. Now, one more thing before we wrap up. I want you to know that you can also have a contract with entities, like a soul contract. So if you want me to do a video on soul contracts, let me know in the comments below, and we'll also put that in the channel lineup. I hope that helped you today. Remember, don't forget to discern what is right for you and what is wrong for you. Keep what serves you, let go of what doesn't, and never forget, you are loved.